Hello and welcome. This is my Clio turbo engine we've been building over the last few videos, so if you haven't seen them, pop back, have a look, give us a like, subscribe if you can, if it's helpful for you of course. And in this video today we will be doing the CAMBELT timing. This is how I do the timing, and as you can see the engine's out the car, so it's handy for you and it's handy for me because I can show you all the way around the engine and you get access to bits you don't normally do. Of course, if it's in the car, you've got to be removing the top engine mount, jacking this up and down. It's a little bit more fiddly, but it's all doable. And this is a very expensive job at the garage. With these dephaser pulleys, there's a lot of precision needed for it. And garages charge up to like 600 quid for this. I'm sure Renault back in the day used to be about £1,000. So if you can do it yourself, it's saving you a lot, but it's still not a cheap job for the parts. Anyway, we will get into that. We'll show you around. Mine's a little bit loose, as you can see. My belt's still slack, all the cover's just put loose, just to give you a show. And we will start by locking it at TDC. You need a flywheel locking tool. You need the parts, the correct Renault timing kit is the best one to get. There is aftermarket cheap ones. I've got half and half here with me, and you need them for this job. You need to lock these pulleys. Locking the flywheel is a safety thing. I advise doing it. I've got no gearbox, so I can put this anywhere on the back. You might have a little bit more trouble. I'm guessing you can take the flywheel off, not the flywheel, what am I about? The starter motor, sorry. Bolt it in there. But I can't remember exactly, it's been a while since it's been out the car. So yeah, let's get on to that. And we'll start by looking at a TDC with a pin. And yeah, let's get on with it. Hope this helps. We've got to lock the crank. And down here in the bottom right, under your by your dipstick and under your thing, there's a plug there to take out. It's an E14. And hopefully that should, yeah, that's tight there. It should just come out. There. And what we'll be doing is putting the pin through and into the crank to time it at top dead centre. And that's all that is. Stick it up there for later. Right, let's get the pin. So now what we need to do is lock the engine at top dead centre. So you get a pin, which is the correct one in the timing kit, in the hole. Now what we need to do, as you can see, that's not going in. So we need to rotate the engine until it locks in. And depending on where your engine is, of course, it could be all the way around. It could just be a little turn like this. I know it. Oh, and we missed it there, I would say. You've gone off the crank, so we go back a bit. Where would we say it is? And you rotate your crank round. And there we go. That is in. It's in all the way, and I can tell that because I can't turn the engine that way. I can't turn it that way. But do you see how it moves a tiny bit there? That's just a little bit of slack, so we want it in the middle. Just like that. I can take it out, and I can push that back in. So if I show you my old crank, I'll show you what that's locating into right now. So let's have a look at that. Shows my old crank, the dead one. You look on the end here, we've got a cutout. It's not on both sides, only on the one. And your key goes through the block and locates into that. And that's a nice tight one. We know that's a good pin. That's where your little bit of slack is, the wobble. And yeah, so that's where you need to lock this pin into. That's where it's going into through the block. If you're having trouble finding it and you've got your pulley off, your keyway, if you see, it will be on the right hand side there. That's where it will be locked. Is at the top, just slightly off to the right. So it should be around there. So there's a handy little tip if you've got everything off and you can see your keyway. So they are. Right then, so your engine's all locked up now. We've got our pin in, we've got our bar in the back, so we know the timing's all set. You should have your flywheel locking tool in to lock it. Of course, that's down to you how you lock it up. So next, we're going to take the top engine cover off. Remember, mine's all loose, all my timing's loose on this. So this is just a quick guide. So we take the timing plate off the top. And there's your pulleys. And what we're going to do now is you're going to crack these loose while the belt and everything's still holding it. So nothing slips. So crack loose and crack loose. Both mine should be loose, I better check. Yeah, both loose. And these pulleys can float them. You take your bottom one off. And that's off. So there's all your belt and everything. You need to crack this off now. Of course, everything's locked up. This is why you lock it, because this thing's tight and you don't want to be bending valves when that slips. So 18mm, crack it off, and you're meant to replace this bolt when you fit a new one. So you should get one in your timing kit. And then you show them with this. Your bottom crank pulley floats, this floats, and technically now you can spin this belt round. My flywheel, sorry, I've got a keyway, Woodruff key, that's the one. So my crank is locked, so it won't rotate. Yours, you could spin that belt round if you wanted to, because all these pulleys float, like I said. So next one is off, is your tensioner. Pop your tensioner off. You should have a new one again, and then you can pop your belt off. There, and if you have a look, all floaty, and your bottom one would float as well. So you pop your two caps out the back, your little screwdriver, self-tapper, and your cams should be small moon at the bottom, big moon at the top. I think I said it the wrong way around in the last video, but that's the way it's meant to be. And you get your plate, and as you can see at the minute, it won't line in because that's all sprung round. So what you do, get it in one side, give it a push down, and we're in. But as you can see, that's tight. We don't want that, we want it floating free. So what I'm doing, get my socket on my cam, and giving it a little tweak. I think it's the inlet. There, look at that. And that's where it wants to be, nice and free. And take it out. You almost get it back in. There, and floating free again. And that's how it wants to be at the end. And that's your timing spot on. But what you'll notice, if I let go of this, that's gone tight again. So what I'm going to do, get a little feeler gauge, I reckon. Because every time I let go of this cam, the spring's holding it. If I get a little feeler gauge under that side to hold the cam in the right position, I reckon that'll do the job. And then when I take the feeler gauge out, that should float free. Right, so I'm going to do that. Let's find out. Cheap tool. I've got 0.23mm feeler gauge just under the one side of the cam. Can't really see that there. Just where it's trying to tilt backwards, I've held it level with that basically, because this tool isn't perfectly machined to the cam, so the cam can move a little bit. So if I put that under that side, bring it level, it's staying level, and hopefully once it's all timed, I take this out, that should still float freely. The exhaust cam doesn't move too much, the inlet for some reason wants to bounce and put pressure on it. So hopefully that'll do the job, and we'll find out at the end. You shouldn't have to do that, but hey, if it means to get it right first time, we'll find out. You will then replace your idlers. Mine are already on, they're new. And these go down to 55 Newton meters, I think. They're on the screen. You will undo your key here. Where's my little cover? Of course, you should have already took that out to undo the pulley. This is your dephaser. This is what everybody cries about changing because they're expensive. There's no way to do this job without it being expensive, sadly, unless you buy a cheap kit. This is all original Renault parts. This pulley alone, I believe, was 150 quid. The whole kit was about 300, I think. Could be less than that, I can't remember, to be honest. And yeah, this is why it's so expensive, and this is where all the problems are. you have to get the degrees spot on. So undo your bolt, slide it out, change your cam seals. It's done then. Because if you do all this, you get a leak after, it was for nothing. Especially this pulley goes through your cam seal. So you put a new pulley in, that cam seal is already worn, it's going to leak. So new cam seals in, just tap them in until they're flush. Little self tapper to get them out is the best way, or you can pry them out normally. This one's easy, the exhaust one not so much. You don't even have to take the exhaust pulley off, but if you're changing the cam seal, you are of course. So they are, so there's it all off, everything's locked up and timed. New idlers are on, and what you do now is you get your belt, your new belt of course. You pop it around the bottom, pop it through your idlers. For you this will be a lot easier. Make sure it's over that one because that's where your tension is going. Round on your exhaust, because you've got a lip on that one, so we do that one first. Make sure it's all in, make sure it's all in there. And then over that one and round your other idler. Now what we want is all the slack on your tensioner side. So I'll put a bit of pressure on that. Get your tensioner. If you have a look on your tensioner, I'll show you now. So if you have a look on your tensioner, you have a little tab here, and that locates into the head here, right at the bottom. Focus, you stupid camera. Oh, they're useless, these things. Anyway, goes into there. So right, so we do that. So, slot it on, get the belt over it, wherever it needs to go in a minute. Come on, you little fucker. Hate tensioners. There. And then the tab's miles out, so I need to rotate it. I can see, which is a bit easier for me, but you can rotate it, you're putting pressure on the belt, see, and you get that tab in, so we do that, until it pops into, you can push it in a bit, that's it, slide the belt on, made a bit more of a faff than that I should have, but that's it. Put your little 13 in, and then that's in place. I'll give you a torque setting for that in a minute, but we don't need to do that now. Now what we need to do is check everything's okay. Right, so your belt's on, we're all happy with the timing, tension's slid on, everything's still slack, crank pulley's going on first. So, get your crank pulley in. I've cut mine from a keyway, see, so mine can only go in one position, yours would float. Get your new bolt, in that goes. My flywheel is locked, my pin is in, and this goes to 140 Newton meters. So we're doing that. Imagine that's 140. So my crank is now torqued to 140 Newton meters. Well, some people do 40 Newton meters and 110 degrees, but that's people's choice. Right then, so it's time to do tensioner now. Brought you in a little bit closer so you can see. It's a 6mm Allen key, and we're simply going to go clockwise and bring the tension on. These tensioners are self-tensioning, you can't over-tension them. And you'll see there's pressure on it now. There's sort of your maximum. Any further from here doesn't do any more apart from move the pressure point. So we want to bring it so it's holding it nicely in the right position. Say about there. I'm sure it goes about there anyway. So get your torque wrench. It's 28 Newton meters. So 13mm. Oh, do that the right way would be helpful, wouldn't it? And bring it up. Yeah. Take that out. Let's have a quick check of that. No extra. Right, and that's that. Next, where you need your other tool for locking the keys in. He's cut this, the lad that owns it, because he hasn't got the spacers and the correct pulleys for it, because it is a two-part kit. So he had to make sure my diffuser was in the right position. Because he's cut it for his where his pulley floats, mine don't. So make sure it was in place first. I had to take it on and off, put the belt on, and went from there. But you shouldn't have that problem. So we spin that up. Bolts in the top. Took your spacer off, goes on there. Now they lock in to your pulleys. I think there were big ones on this one. Right then, so the plate's on. I've slid these up into the gears and locked them. They're 19 mils. The two 16s are tight, and those pulleys now can't move at all. So there's no worry at the back. So now we're going to tighten them up. It goes to 125? Can't remember. It's on the screen. And then the phaser goes to 100, and then the cap goes 25. But we're not going to put the cap in until we checked all the timings correct. So I've already done the exhaust, and now we're set up and we'll do the phaser. Yeah, give it another check. I'm actually going to go a little bit more now. Let's just set off one. And there you are. Lock that back in. There you are. Now, there you are. So, that should be all correct. So what I'm going to do now is take the plates off. Take the pin out the back, off the side. Make sure that plate slides. That plate should slide beautifully now, so we're going to find out. Right, so there's my little feeler gauge out. I was using nail file on the other bloody side. I'm hoping this comes out. One sec. Little tug. Hey, that wouldn't do bad, was it? Now, this is the bit where it should all be right. Focus. This should go in there and slide back and forwards. Oh, look at that. Little tiny bit of resistance, but I'm happy with that. I can wiggle that around, look at that. So there we go. So now, put it over there. You get your new caps, whack them on the back, go around the other side, put all the cam covers back on, put the, what else is it called, throttle body back in, all the parts I've took off, and you can go from there. So we're happy that my plate's in there, lovely. Look at that. Proud of that. Not the way you should do it. If you've got the right tool, you shouldn't have to use feeder gauges. All my tools are off this side. My pin's out there. Now this is the ultimate one. We're going to turn the engine over a few turns. So, spacer back on there, don't forget. So we know everything's working. I'm going to spin this over about 4 or 5 times. Then the covers can go on. So let's do that. And then I'll get back to you. So I've spun the engine over about 5 times. I've put it back out now. I pinned it again at the bottom and checked to make sure that plate floated freely, which it does, so happy days. And now all it is, everything's tight. Make sure you've tightened everything, just have a think over it, always have a think. Make sure there's nothing fell in there, make sure there's no problems going to arise. Then all it is covers back on. So, it's happy days for me, and happy days for you if it all went right. So I hope that was helpful for you in some sort of way. You can see around the engine. If there's anything else you want to know, of course, comment below. Any questions, whatever, just give us a shout. And of course, like and subscribe if that was helpful for you. And I hope to see you again, and hopefully once I get my clutch back from being repaddled, it can go in the car. The turbo's on, as you can see. It's all in, the oil line's in. I've done the preload on it. It's all ready to go. Is there anything else? I broke a sensor, water temp sensor. It was rusted and snapped off, so I need to buy a new one of them. But that's it. So I'll see you next time, and thank you very much for watching. Ta-ra.